Hey Bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a In My Library video. This will be the second one that I've done. It's basically like a haul, but it's full of library books. So I just want to show you all the books that I have out from the library right now. I went to the library today and picked up 4 books, and then I also still have like a bunch of books from before. So I think I'm just going to go from the ones that I've had the longest all the way up to the ones that I picked up today, and I'm going to show them to you and tell you what I know about them and why I picked it up. So the first one I'm going to show you is one that I've actually already read, and I'm ready to take back to the library. If you watched any of my December vlogs or even my new currently reading series, you'll know that I read Stormancer recently. Didn't love it. It was okay. By Jay Kristoff, and it's a Japanese-inspired steampunk novel. Yeah, I've already read this, so it's going back to the library very soon. And the next book I'm going to show you, I'm actually currently reading on page 120, and that is Asunder by Jodi Meadows. This is the second book in the Neuval trilogy. The first book is called Incarnate, and it basically takes place in a world where everyone who lives in this world has been reincarnated like over and over and over again until Anna, the main character, comes along, and she is a new soul. She's never been reincarnated before. This is her first life, and it brings up some really interesting concepts about like living in a society like that. And one thing that I think is really cool about this series is that I called it a fantasy. I think of it as a fantasy because it takes place in a completely made up separate world, but they also have a lot of technology, which I think is really cool to see a blend of the two. I think that's pretty unique. The next book is Ensnared by A.G. Howard. This is the last book in the Splinter trilogy. I read the first 2 books like about a year ago, but I've had it probably since like October or some month around there. I got it in the fall, thinking that if I had it on my shelf, I'd be more likely to read it. I have picked it up once, and I realized that I didn't really remember a whole lot of what happened, and so I've been trying to find a really good like recap of the second book. If you guys know of one, let me know, because there's not a Wikipedia one, it's not on Recaptains. I might have to suck it up and read it anyways and just hope I remember a lot of stuff, because I definitely don't want to read the first 2 books again. Maybe it'll come to me. And the rest of these I haven't read. Some of them I had for a little while. For example, this book, Feed by Mira was in my last In My Library video, because I did that one for my like October Halloween library book haul. And this is one of the ones I picked up because it is a book slash, at least a trilogy, some sort of series about zombies. And I've never read like a zombie book, even though I love The Walking Dead. I'm a huge fan of The Walking Dead, but I haven't read anything that has zombies in it. And all the other books that I got in that haul, I already took back, even if I didn't read them, because I wasn't in the mood to read them anymore. But this book I've heard so many good things about, and I definitely still want to read it. So I've held on to it, hoping that the mood will strike and I will want to pick it up. So that's why I still have this, even though I got it in October. The next one I picked up is Sleeping Giants. This is by Sylvain. Neuval, I probably butchered that. And this is a science fiction, kind of like a space odyssey from what I understand. Some of my really good like Twitter book friends really love this book. The second book in the series just actually recently came out, or is coming out soon, I'm not sure which. And so I picked it up because it was in my new releases section of the library, and I'm just keeping it around in case I feel like reading science fiction, but the mood hasn't really struck yet, so I don't know when I'm going to get to this. And then I picked up Mistborn by Sanderson, because Mistborn has been on my TBR for a really long time. I actually really wanted to start this series in 2015, and I didn't. Obviously, I still have this. And I kind of picked this up on a fluke. I was picking out a different book that happened to be in the same aisle, and I like happened to see this, and I was like, oh, maybe I should get it because it's on my shelf, maybe I'll read it. And I still really want to read this. I hope to get to this pretty soon, within the next couple of months, because I already know I love Sanderson, and this is a heist story, which apparently after reading Six of Crows, I know I love heist stories, so I can't wait to read this. Alright guys, now on to the books that I got today. So I have 4 more to show you. And the next book I'm going to talk about is Magic Study by Mira v. Snyder. So if you watched any of my vlogs from earlier this month, I read Poison Study, which is the first book in the series, like within 24 hours. It was the first or second day of January. I totally devoured that book. Loved it so much, and I'm really excited to continue the series, so I went and picked this up right away. I'm not going to start it quite yet, but like I've said, for some of these other books. I just want to have it on my shelf so that I'm ready to read it when I'm ready to read it. And I'm just really excited to continue in the series because I really loved the first book, and it was a 5-star read for me, which is awesome to have your very first read of the year be a 5-star book. So the next book is The Time Traveler's Wife. I picked this up from the library because I participate in a book club at work, and this is the next book that we're going to read. I probably actually will listen to it on audiobook. Even when I listen to things on audio, I like to have a physical copy. One, in case I don't like the audiobook, and then I can just switch pretty easily, but also for, I mean, this probably sounds really stupid, but for Goodreads updates, so I can update my Goodreads as far as like what page I'm on. Especially when I'm listening to an audiobook and I don't know like the percentage that I'm through the book, I like to see that. Not necessarily that it's motivating, but just so I know how I'm doing and how much further I have to go, because that's really hard to judge just based on time, especially when you're listening to something like on 1.5 times speed, which is what I usually do. So I always like to have a physical copy around, or an ebook copy around, just so I can find my page and see how far I've come or how far I have to go. But yeah, so The Time Traveler's Wife, this will be happening pretty quickly. Book club is meeting, I think, on the 15th or something of February, so I'm going to read this pretty soon. The next book I have is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. I've read some of Maggie Stiefvater's other works, and for the most part I think I like her. I'm excited to read this. I've heard good things about it, and I like the premise. I think it sounds interesting. This was my January TBR jar pick of the month, so I hope to be reading it in the next 2 weeks. But before I read this, I have to read my December, or my last remaining TBR jar from 2016 book pick, which is the next book that I picked up. So this is one I'm going to be reading pretty quickly. That is The Demon King by Cinda Chima. I've never read any of Cinda Chima's books before. I've heard so many good things about everything that she's written. I'm really excited to read this series. I am definitely in like a high fantasy mood, especially after reading Poison Study and really enjoying it. I'm really excited to read this because a lot of people have talked about it. A lot of people really love this book and this series, and she has a new spin-off series coming out that's like in the same world. I think there's 2 trilogies before I would get to that, but I'm just really excited to try her and see what the fuss is about. Hopefully I like it. Alright, Bookworm, so those are all the books that I currently have out from the library. I plan on keeping this series going. I'm going to keep track of all the books that I get out from the library as I get them, and make sure before I return them I do one of these. If you guys have read any of these books that I just showed you, let me know down in the comments, because I'd love to know which ones that you liked, which ones that you didn't, to kind of help me prioritize which ones I should read next. So I'd love to get your opinions on what you think I should read and how I should prioritize these. That's all I have for now, so until next time, Bookworms, keep reading. Bye! And I got this book from the library like in November, or I guess actually earlier than that. You can keep books out from my library for a long time as long as nobody else requests it. So apparently nobody else wants to read this. But I definitely want to be in the mood for it, and I just haven't been yet, / I've had so many other things that I need to read to keep up with my challenges and things like that. Mainly my TBR jar challenge is the one that I've been struggling with, which is where I pull one book out of a jar every month and I'm supposed to read it that month, and I got kind of behind on those at the end of 2016, and so I'm kind of still playing catch up on that.